part of the weekend you guys wanted for the team. What's the mood like for the team going into this week's games?
Well, I would say that this past weekend, we certainly learned sort of the areas where we've been exposed in. We certainly went into the weekend knowing it was going to be a tremendous challenge. We already played Stanislaus at home, and lost that match 2-1. Felt we played very, very well. There were some concerns about, as in any contact sport, some of the injuries we were heading into that match with. Certainly had some concern about the heat of that day, and that's always been a difficult thing for us, going down south or going to a place like Stanislaus. Really looking back at the weekend as a whole, you're playing against two very experienced teams with very quality programs with quality players, and just the fact that we are a young program, we knew it was going to be certainly a challenge. But I think I think it's important for us as we continue to build the program and move forward. You need those games. Our players need that exposure against those quality teams, those ranked teams, to know what it's going to take, to be competitive year in and year out. And yes, we're not happy with the score. Even with a 2-0 loss to Sonoma on Friday, there was times where we still played well in that game. You're talking about a team that was just ranked 5th in the country right before that. So again, moving forward, it's at least they now are experiencing this, and finally after this coming weekend, maybe the schedule does get a little bit lighter, where we're not playing so many nationally ranked opponents in a row. But again, hopefully this tough early schedule will prepare us for the rest of the month of October. Right now, again, it's just for us to start working on some of the areas we're getting exposed on, and unfortunately, it's also a time for us where we need to get healthy. I bet you, to be honest, probably a third of our team is not able to practice right now. That's just what happens with football and soccer. You just got to ride through that, and players need to step up. And but if we can get healthy, I really feel like we can get back to the way we were playing. That first match versus Stanislaus, or that great victory versus Chico. We just got to ride that part out.
And heading into these weekend's games, it's an interesting schedule you guys have. It's the start of October, and it's already your last home game of the season on Sunday. So for you, with the way the schedule works, how important are these two games at home, these last 2 games at home early on in October?
Well, I mean, every game is important in this conference, and anybody can beat anybody on any given Friday or Sunday. I think for us, it's just more about still developing and preparing and getting back to playing our style of soccer. This past weekend, unfortunately, we just didn't have the horses. We just weren't playing well. We weren't connecting with each other, and it's really getting back to that style. Just playing our possession game and feeding off of each other and attacking out of the back. If we can get back to that, we're going to give ourselves opportunities in these games, like we did previously to this last weekend. But it doesn't get any easier. We're playing against San Diego, who was just 5th in the country and who did drop a game, but and of course we're playing the team that beat them in San Bernardino. It's definitely going to be a challenge, but I'd rather have it that way. As again we're still starting 8 new players. 8 players are getting their first 5-6 starts this year, either new positions or they're freshmen or redshirt freshmen. So again, it's easy to be discouraged about the overall record, but at the same time, looking forward to the big picture, it's going to help us the last 3 weeks of the season, and it's going to help us to build for next year and the year after that.
And last question, we'll talk about some seniors. You mentioned all the youth that's on this team. So with those seniors getting their last home games on Sunday, what have the seniors been like this season for you, and how big has their influence been helping those younger players?
Oh, well, they're absolutely important. Just again, they're the ones that have experienced these type of matches. They know what to expect in these schools, in these programs, and so their leadership, their experience value, it's all very important. At least to support us as a staff and getting our younger players to know what to expect. Unfortunately, some of those players are also injured, so we definitely need them to get healthy as we prepare the rest of this week for these matches. But yeah, they're definitely key players. You can't replace experience, and so I think it's again their input, their value at practice, off the field. It's crucial, especially with such a young team. And they've been good examples. They've been good leaders. they continue to step up and get everyone else to be ready for the challenge.
Coach, as soon as you guys were unable to play those first few games, and playing time is so valuable for a coach and the players, do you feel like you guys are behind, and how far behind from where you'd like to be as a team?
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, it's difficult to answer, but it's or I wish I didn't have to answer.
Right.
I should say. We didn't have any scrimmages, and then you took away 3 games, and we unfortunately had a game canceled on us ourselves. So we're naturally we're playing 6 and 8 games fewer. We're that far behind other schools. So as we talked about, the last interview, you can't, there's no, as far as game fitness, game fitness is what you get in games. And you can't necessarily prepare for game fitness in practice. We can run them, we can get them fit, we can work hard, but there's just a different component to actually game fitness, and the same can be said for game experience. So a lot of schools were able to get those changes out of the way. They knew what their strengths were, their weaknesses were, and we certainly have been playing catch up on that. And then you unfortunately throw in the injury bug, and that gives you more challenges.
Right.
But we need to respond, and our young players need to respond, and I think we're up to that task. It's not like we've given up in any single game. And in most games, they've all been close. We've had a number of leads in games that due to lack of experience, we haven't been able to keep those leads. This last weekend, we just chalk up to it was definitely an off weekend, but I think we can respond pretty well. Last time San Diego was up here as a nationally ranked team, we were able to knock them off, and beat them. And I think this team is just as talented as that team 2 years ago that did that.
Talking about depth, I know I cover football a lot, and Rob Smith, one of his biggest issues is depth. When people get hurt, it's tough to go down the depth chart because there's just not a lot there. How do you feel the depth is on your team when you sustain these injuries and have players out?
Well, the depth is an issue of decisions we had already made with redshirting. That comes into play. Bottom line is it's still a young team. So as far as the game experience, college experience, there's freshmen that came in right away prepared. We knew they'd step into the lineup and they'd be a tremendous impact right at the get-go. We knew there's players that needed to be developed, and right now we're not, having missed, back to your earlier question, having missed all those scrimmages and earlier games, they're not quite as ready to go as a seasoned vet or even some of the freshmen that we, like the one we have here today. It is what it is. But again, the big picture is still trying to, turn this thing around in the season, but the program itself, recruiting it in such a way that it complements what we want to do as a staff, tactically speaking. And these freshmen can get that done. It's just now it's a little bit sooner than we expected for some of them.
Final question for me. How important is it being at home as an advantage? And is it more of an advantage that your players are at home on a home turf in front of the home fans, or the fact that teams like San Diego have to come all the way up here and that's a disadvantage for them?
In San Diego's case, and in San Bernardino's case, I think it's a disadvantage for them because of the length, of the distance, I should say, the distance of travel. So I guess that is a disadvantage for them, it's an advantage for us at the same time. It's not necessarily us being at home versus being on the road because we are so used to traveling.
Right.
And, we get on the bus and travel quite a bit. And there's times where, like I said, we play very well on the road. Some of our best wins in the last couple of years have been on the road. But no, it's definitely a challenge for them. I know a lot of schools don't particularly care for coming all the way up here. So.
Awesome. Thanks, CJ.
Yeah.